Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Well, this shark is awesome, and you can tell how awesome he is by his fancy gold teeth, right? The male sharks want to be him. The lady sharks want to be with him. It's obvious to everyone that he is successful, right? But the joke is on this shark because you see, sharks shed their teeth very often. In fact, some species shed up to 35,000 teeth in a lifetime. That's a lot of teeth. That's a lot of bling, right? And so it's kind of a shame that this fancy mouth of gold is not long for this world. But I don't know about you, but I kind of make this mistake all the time. Not that I get gold teeth and they fall out, but I chase shiny objects to prove my worth. Even though deep down, sometimes I don't always feel so worthy. This is something that I've done my whole life. I don't know if you can relate to this. I can go back all the way to 7th grade. And I know this is going to come as a shock, but I was not cool when I was in 7th grade. But these Air Jordans were out and they were the bomb. And I was convinced that if I just could get a pair of Air Jordans, then that would make up for the deficiency of my coolness level. Well, it turned out we were never allowed to spend that much money on a pair of shoes. Are you kidding me? So I never got the Air Jordans, which is probably for the best because I would have outgrown them in 6 months to a year. And then at the turn of the century, Apple came out with these fruity iBooks that I lusted after. Oh, they were so hip and trendy. And I cut out a picture and put it on my vision board with the hopes that someday I would be able to own one of these. I like the lime green one. And I thought if I could just get one of these, I would be so hip and so trendy. Now, I never ended up getting one of those either. But again, if I had, and I still had it, it would be little more than a decorative doorstop now. Now, I will admit, I currently have a dream to someday own a jet black Porsche 911 convertible. My dad used to have a convertible and I loved driving it, and it's ever since I was a little kid. I've always liked this car and I've always wanted to have it. But I have to admit, sometimes I wonder, is one of the reasons I want it is to have some sort of shiny object that I can show off to prove how successful I am. Now, my faith tells me that I am made in the image of my Creator, but frankly, on many days, that's kind of hard to believe. I mean, I'm wearing bifocals now, my hair is thinning, I eat lots and lots of gluten. It's kind of a mess some days. But then what's interesting is if I think of my kids and I look at them, it's not hard for me to see how awesome they are. Are they perfect? Oh, hells no. They take after me, after all, right? But they're great. They're great. They're awesome. It's not hard for me to see that. They have amazing qualities. It's clear as day to me. And the kind of shoes they're wearing has nothing to do with it. Why is it so hard for me to see the positive traits in other people and so hard to see them in myself? Can you relate to that? And then sometimes we look around and we see people who feel like they have really big egos and they're really confident and maybe even borderline cocky. But if you've been around long enough and you know a little bit about human psychology, you'll realize that even those people, that's just sort of a cover-up that's masking their own insecurity. It seems that most of us from time to time sell ourselves short. We actually believe the TV and magazine ads that tell us if we would just get this one more thing, we'll finally be happy. Or if we fix this or tuck that, then we'll be just fine. We'll finally be enough. I love looking back at old vintage advertisements just to laugh at what was actually once in print and was a normal thing. Like, this is an ad for the magic of asbestos to protect the buildings on your farm. And then we've got cola, right? It's for a better start in life. Start cola earlier. And I love the question, how soon is too soon? Probably it's never too soon to start your baby on cola, right? And then we've got butter, good and good for you. Nutrition tip here. Didn't know this. Butter is slippery, that's why we eat it as much as possible to help lubricate our arteries and veins. Because you want to have the lubrication going on there, right? And then who can forget nicotine cigarettes? The smooth taste expectant mothers crave. This is ridiculous. We're inundated with stuff like this. What kind of things are we being fed now that our grandchildren will look back on and say, oh my gosh, this is insane. But it's hard to escape. It's hard to escape this deluge that's telling us we're not enough. I know I feel like it sometimes. I feel like I'm not a good enough dad, a good enough husband, a good enough friend, good enough artist, right? You feel like I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not resourceful enough. I'm not patient enough. It goes on and on and on. But here's the thing. Those enoughs are like weeds crowding out the truth. Now, one good thing about the not enough feeling is that it makes room for God. His power is made perfect in our weakness. He picks up the slack and nullifies our deficiencies. We are truly in danger when we think we can do this thing called life alone. You and me, we're already great. And not in some lame, everybody gets a participation trophy sort of way. Let me give you a little bit of perspective. Have you ever thought about the actual odds that you are alive right now? Well, Dr. Ali Benazir, it's easy for me to say, crunched the numbers. And he did all of this calculations. And he figured the probability of your dad meeting your mom and that they stayed together long enough to have kids. And that the fact that one of the 100,000 eggs that your mom produces in her lifetime met up with one of the 4 trillion sperm your dad made during the years you could have been born. The odds of you actually being alive are 1 in 400 quadrillion. That's a lot of illions, right? It's ridiculous. In fact, as I was doing more research, this slideshow could have gone on and on and on and on. But they said that that's just getting started. He talks about other things like the fact that every single one of your ancestors had to live until they reached reproductive age, right? So like all of those things that had to happen. And he goes on and on with other things. He adds to it. And it basically comes down to this. This blows my mind. It is the probability of 2 million people getting together, which is about the population of San Diego, by the way, each to play a game of dice with a trillion-sided dice, okay? They each roll the dice, and they all come up with the exact same number. For example, 550,343,279,001. Everybody gets that. So the odds that you exist are basically 0. Now, what are the odds of getting killed by a shark? Getting eaten by a shark is 1 in 4 million, which now makes me kind of feel like I never want to get in the water again because it seems like such better odds. But that's still 1 in 4 million. That's nothing. It's ridiculous when you think about the odds of you being here. You are a miracle. The fact that you exist is a frickin' miracle. Having beaten the odds like that suggests that there's probably a reason you are here. And there is. You have something to offer that the world needs. Now, the real reason for our greatness is that we were purposefully and wonderfully made by a loving God. Within you, amidst any so-called flaws that you dwell on, is a spark of something divine. That, my friend, makes you priceless. I love this quote by Madeleine L'Engle, great children's author. She said, "When I was a child, my parents loved me not because I was good, but because I was Madeleine, their child. I loved them and wanted to please them, but their love of me did not have to be earned. Neither does the love of God. We are loved because we are his children, because we are." Now, you don't have to keep trying to prove yourself. You can just be. You may not be perfect, but you're already great. Gold teeth or no?